the world would you even take on this case? What's wrong with you?
What is wrong with me?
Off the top of my head, I'd say low self-esteem, a lack of maternal affection, and a genetic predisposition for anxiety and depression.
I did not think that was where you were gonna go.
That's Rachel Bloom and Aline Brosh-McKenna's CW comedy,
Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
It's a dark comedy, drama, musical that centers around Rebecca Bunch, who impulsively leaves behind her life in New York City to chase her ex-boyfriend to West Covina, California.
She's the crazy ex-girlfriend.
What? No, I'm not.
She's the crazy ex-girlfriend.
That's a sexist term.
Right, sorry. Now, I know this can be a pretty tough sell. I was hesitant at first, but I was hooked pretty quickly, and one reason is the show's wide-ranging satire. It comments on everything from genre to everyday life, and to help me cover all this ground, I've called for some backup. This is Capri.
That's me.
She's the biggest Crazy Ex-Girlfriend fan I know, and she's here to lend her voice to help me explain why this is such a good show. Don't worry, we won't spoil anything. I'm Jackson.
And I'm Capri.
And this is Ideas at Play.
So how are we defining satire here?
Satire is different from other forms of comedy in that what makes it special isn't its content, but its intent. It's to poke fun at something.
More than that, it's confronting us with the truth about issues in society. Think of satire as a spectrum. At one end, we're making fun of something, but the shots don't really land. On the other end, we have satire proper, which is more subversive and has a plan behind it.
And that's basically what the premise of the whole show is. When Rebecca leaves for West Covina, in the first 10 minutes of the series, she tells herself that she's chasing happiness and true love.
Okay then, Boston. Chicago?
No, Laura.
It's where dreams live.
But she hardly knows Josh. They dated for one summer 10 years ago.
And the place she's going isn't really all that magical. What she's really doing is chasing the idea of a fairy tale, and the idea that destiny will save her if she just believes in it enough.
Please welcome Destiny.
Even Rebecca's instincts scream at her that this is a ridiculous path.
Yes, I heard of West Covina from Josh, but I didn't move here because of Josh. Do you get those things are different?
No hablo inglés.
Entiendes que son diferentes. Look, everyone, stop giving me the shakedown. I am not having a nervous.
All of this emphasizes the absurdity of the genre. When we break down her life and her choices, there's no way we could ever advise someone to act as Rebecca has.
Each of Rebecca's actions are cringeworthy for just this reason. She's so overzealous about her mission, as misguided as it is, that she can't help from committing to it 100%.
All eyes on me.
Oh, they're on you.
And that's where the music comes in. Characters break out into songs that often have fairy tale themes, but that just points out how much of a fantasy this is in a way that feels like a twisted version of High School Musical.
Psychological problems, girl, we're gonna solve them. Cause we're not just a boy band made up of 4 Joshes, we're also a team of licensed mental health professionals.
A lot of the songs hit on a number of truths, but not necessarily ones that jive with their presentation. Instead, they conflict directly, which makes their message that much more emphatic.
You ruined everything, you stupid bitch.
Songs highlight the emotional epicenters of episodes, and music is a very effective tool for doing this. The show combines an idea and an emotion together, and then embeds it in us with music, so that every time you hear a part of that song, whether it's a musical theme or lyric, you're subliminally reminded of that emotion and that idea.
And we often use bits and pieces of that recording session in the score of the show.
Yeah, the 2 themes, ba-da-da-da, and then there's also another theme that we sometimes use, which originally was intended to be like Josh's theme, which is the ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-dum. That's in that song, and it kind of is meant to mimic Rebecca's fluttering heart whenever she sees him.
Each song is a window into one of a few things: a character's perspective, how Rebecca perceives that character, or even sometimes both.
I'm a good person, and if you ask why, I'll spit my good right into your eye.
Often, when other characters sing, it's reflective of Rebecca's perception of their role in her life, rather than who they actually are. But beyond that, they spell out their individual flaws.
I just reveal your deepest wishes and fears, so it's you, Rebecca, it's not me.
Every character has failings that are accessible to the audience, and through song, become even more relatable.
Each character finds themselves in some form of extended adolescence. That by itself isn't an innovation, and many comedies have been focused on the idea of man-children growing up. But to get back to our spectrum, instead of teasing that idea, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend is putting it to satire. It hits much closer to home by voicing ideas and thoughts that people have actually had, and embodies, much more, what life is like at a crossroads.
Many comedies insist that everything will work out, that we'll find the job or person or place of our dreams, that we're destined to figure it out.
This is definitely what happy feels like. What's wrong with you? This is what happy feels like.
But Crazy Ex-Girlfriend undercuts that whole notion. In West Covina, things can still be fine, even if they're not fine.
And that representation extends beyond generic flaws. Rather than focusing on vague selfishness or immaturity, mental illness often takes center stage. In the first 15 minutes of the show, we see Rebecca conducting some questionable research, breaking out emergency pills for anxiety, and taking advice from a butter commercial. Crazy Ex-Girlfriend doesn't shy away from the hard truths of mental illness, even as Rebecca does, but it also stops short of glorifying it.
Crazy is a pejorative term, and it's an overgeneralization of a number of disorders. What?
And that plays into how the show speaks to being a woman today. When I initially heard about Crazy Ex, I didn't even want to give it a chance. Girl with incredibly crazy eyes follows boy across the country. Also, they're singing. On paper, this looks like the last thing I would literally ever want to touch with a 10-foot pole. But when I saw the first few episodes, I realized that the people, the women creating the show, are doing something that's unfortunately considered radical in television right now. They're allowing so many of the ugly, hard, and even sometimes gross, real-life experiences of being a woman not only inform the writing of, but shine through in this show. There's an entire song about urinary tract infections.
One night with me is pure ecstasy, cause I know just what you like. But you should know for a week or so you won't be able to ride a bike.
I'm so sorry if you have to cancel that spin class. I'll pay the cancellation fee because I know a lot of times you have to book a specific bike in advance. Anyway.
While it's important to acknowledge that Brosh-McKenna and Bloom are writing from a place of privilege and cannot encapsulate every lived experience of every woman in existence, what's great about the show is that so many women can relate to the concepts they bring to life.
I don't have time for this. What happened? The tissues fell out of your training bra, you perioded on white couch. We've all been there.
Let me be clear, not all of the characters on this show are feminists.
Well, actually, don't you think that...
This is a great opportunity for you to soak up some wisdom from a lady who understands something called the patriarchy.
What she said, the show is itself inherently feminist. It's called Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, but that's because the entire series is about deconstructing that term and the sexism that is so deeply rooted within it. There's an entire song about how boobs are just, as the writers put it, every time I have watched the show with a man, they inevitably at some point become uncomfortable. Crazy Ex unabashedly acknowledges parts of womanhood and femininity that are hard for some men to face, and that's a good thing.
Oh my god, periods are code blue because blue is the color of the liquid they use in tampon commercials because men hate that women bleed.
Right.
Crazy Ex-Girlfriend is an incredibly smart show that utilizes satire as well as any other. Not only focusing on issues that are real and relatable to tons of people, but doing so with a message. No matter how much you ignore or choose to not believe in your issues, they'll come home to roost. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give the channel some love by hitting the subscribe button or sharing this with your friends. And absolutely check out Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. It just finished its second season and the whole thing is on Netflix. It's a smart and funny show that's going in a really interesting direction. I hope you liked hearing Capri on this video as well. This is her favorite show and I couldn't do a video about it and not include her. She picks up on so many aspects of the show that I've missed and it wouldn't have been half as good without her.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks again.